And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wheel Talk, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and another guy in a wheelchair. Welcome back, Brian Kinney. How is everyone today?
Good. Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on again. I'm filling the shoes of Brittany. I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, you're filling the wheels. It's good.
The wheels.
But honestly, man,
right.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Today we are talking about. We actually kept in touch while I was on holiday recently in Spain, and I wanted to give you like a live sort of debrief, and we've got a video to react to, and there's lots of lowlights and highlights and sort of everything in between. And you've also had a recent holiday, so I'm sure there'll be some, common ground. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. Let's do it.
Should we crack on with the video then? So
I want to watch this thing.
Does it need an intro? So basically, you might have seen the title. I fell out of my wheelchair in front of her dad. I met my girlfriend's dad for the first time in Madrid, and we were at a park, and there were some steps. And I thought to myself, we don't need to go round and find a ramp. I'll just bump down these steps because they were fairly nicely spaced apart. And I thought, you know what? I want to show how capable I am. Watch this.
Hold my beer.
Yeah. Anyway, say no more. Let's watch this together. So here I am at the top of the stairs. As you can see, they are quite nicely spaced.
Yeah, I thought that too when I was watching the video.
So and also that guy at the end looking at his phone, that's her dad. So he's not like, oh wow, what a cool dude. He's not even bothered. Not even looking. But as you can see,
my gosh.
As the bumps go, they kick off my spasms. You can probably relate to that.
Oh yeah.
I know that you have a baclofen pump now, but yeah.
It still happens though, just not to that extent.
Yeah. Here I go.
One more.
Imagine my mum watching this. Oh my god. What are you doing? You got to be careful what you say, because sometimes I feel like fate is listening.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was easy.
Too easy, apparently. Too easy. And then the spasms start to kick off. Oop.
The leg.
This throws off my.
Biffed it.
No, está bien,
You've even got the sirens in the background.
Yep. Yeah, they're on standby.
Warning.
Waiting for you to fall down the stairs. That is great, man.
That is when I fell out of my wheelchair in front of my girlfriend's dad. I also fell out of my wheelchair, in Madrid while on holiday. And what I wanted to chat to you about was it's quite funny. There's a couple of different things I want to touch on. Number one, it's actually really important to have wheelie skills and wheelchair skills when you navigate a big city, because they're not accessible. Most of them, you do need some sort of, skills, right? And it is fun to be able to wheelie downstairs. And what happened was I bruised my toes in some sort of way. I damaged my foot. I didn't really know, because obviously you can't really feel it. But I had a lot of nerve pain in my foot after that, and a lot of increased spasticity. And that was really awkward, because I was trying my hardest to not act like I was in pain. I felt like I was getting struck by lightning every 30 seconds, and I was like, I'm okay. And I couldn't wheel because my leg was so. I wanted to bring up the conundrum of navigating a city, doing stuff like that, which is sometimes necessary, but then having the consequences be sometimes quite dire. Like, for example, I could have broken my leg and ruined the holiday. As people with spinal cord injuries, we have bone density issues, and that could have been a lot worse, basically. So is the risk worth the reward? Let's discuss.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard balance for sure. But when I was watching that video, that was my first thought. I'm thinking, oh no, I hope he didn't break his leg. Because I mean, if you fall on a concrete, that can happen. But I don't know. I think in that situation, what you were doing wasn't extremely dangerous. You've done it many, many times before. If they were a really steep set of stairs, I would probably say, yeah, why not just get some help,
Mhm.
But I think the issue for you was just the spasms. I mean, you had no issue doing that skill. It's just, when your body moves when it's not supposed to move in a certain way, it's going to throw off your balance and dump you out,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that skill is super helpful. I'm sure you used it a lot more than just that time during that trip, didn't you?
Dude, it was so insanely important to me to have those skills, like navigating Torrevieja, Madrid, and all the other places that I went. It was outrageously handy to be like a ninja in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I had to acknowledge that the consequences of me being a little bit risky can actually be quite dire. You know what I mean? And sort of almost could risk ruining the whole holiday. Now, I know that
Right.
I've got a incomplete injury, so I've got like a lot of muscle mass on my legs due to spasticity. I don't have any voluntary movement, but I just assume that my bone density is okay because my legs haven't withered away. But
Right.
my bone density might well be compromised in my legs. Again, I didn't know what happened to my foot, but there was bruising that appeared over the next few days. And luckily, just with paracetamol and just some rest, like the spasms calmed down that night and didn't ruin the trip. But like even just increased nerve pain and increased spasticity could have made a chunk of joy taken out of the holiday. So yeah,
Right.
it's odd. You want to navigate, life in a wheelchair. You can't wrap yourself in cotton wool, but you have to acknowledge that sometimes is the risk worth the reward?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, just watching that, I think the risk was worth the reward, but the reward was showing somebody that was on their phone that you could go down the stairs. So you didn't seem that, but I don't know, man. I don't think you were being that risky personally.
No.
And
to be totally honest, I wasn't doing it to show off. I mean, I kind of was doing it to show off, but also I was like, this is easy. Like I could do, this is fine. It was just an awkward moment because I kind of was showing off. And then that happened. It was just like, oh, for God's sake, like, why did you do that? You idiot.
Right. Yeah. But I did the same thing over the weekend. So we had gone to a cabin, and it was really cool. Like 3 other of my friends' families brought their kids, and I brought, obviously my daughter and my wife, and we rented a cabin, which was like an hour away. But it wasn't an accessible cabin. So I was very proud that I was able to, there's a 6-inch, probably a good 6-inch rise into the doorway that I was able to just get momentum and hop right up into the thing. So I really didn't need any help getting in and out. But yeah, there was one time that I almost biffed it, like the front end of the chair started to dip, right as I'm coming off the stair. And I'm like, ooh, that could have been bad. Or I'm going down into gravel. Gravel's the worst, I feel like, as far as trying to navigate gravel. But I didn't biff it, luckily. Didn't fall on my face, didn't break anything. But yeah, man, that could have gone badly if you had busted your kneecap open or, anything like that.
So I'm thinking about making a dedicated YouTube channel to that video, like just sort of saying like these skills are important, but with risk comes consequences and stuff like that. I think there's a nice narrative to be had there. And I wanted to chat with you. I wanted to ask, actually, you said that you've been on holiday. You must have, because we kept in contact like during the holiday, like on and off, and you messaged me like I think during the eye of a storm. I was like in like a bit of an argument with the missus. And you were like, how's it going? I was like, well, right now it's like not going very well at all, man. Whole holidays are really stressful. So what I wanted to talk to you about was holidays, man. Like, I think there's a certain anticipation that comes with a holiday, and you're like, oh, we're going to go on holiday. Amazing. And then after the holiday, you always look at it like, oh, wasn't that holiday amazing? You've got the photos. But sometimes when you're during the holiday, it's actually not that enjoyable. There are a lot of stressful moments. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because I went on that cruise a few weeks ago, and basically the first day was shit because, I couldn't catch up with my family. I had talked to Brittany about this, I think, on the last podcast, but the boat wasn't that accessible. as far as having to go inside to get an elevator just to go up, one level, where my family could just go right up the steps. So I spent so much time just chasing them around, and I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm supposed to be having fun, and I'm supposed to be relaxing, and this is not relaxing at all. And I don't know. I kind of got in my little funk, my little paralyzed guy, woe is me moment. Once I got out of that, what it really took was me just saying, you know what, this is what it is, and I'm better off just staying in one place so they know exactly where I am. Let them go on the water rides and let them run up and down the stairs and do stuff. I'll be in this chair when you get back, and that's when it became a little bit more enjoyable for me, just to stop fighting. My goal was to just be with my family, and I wanted to watch my daughter's excitement and all that. But at the same time, if they're having to wait, 10 minutes for me just to get back to them, that's kind of ruins her fun too. So go off and do your own thing was kind of my game plan after the first crazy day.
But it kind of sucks though, man, because you want to be part of the family, and you've gone on an accessible cruise, and you I guess maybe had unrealistic expectations, but like it could have been much better. If you want to, I don't know. You got I think maybe you can relate to this, but when we go out places, we go places that I can be with other. I don't go to places that aren't accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've gone on a holiday expecting it to be more accessible than it was. And then you're like, oh, that is going to set yourself up for disappointment, really. And it sucks. And you're allowed to feel that way.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I gave myself a little bit of wiggle room and just said, you're allowed to be pissed off about this, but I knew that it wasn't something I wanted to continue doing just because it just drains your energy. At least that's how I feel. Anytime that I get really pissed off, it just drains my energy. And then kind of clouds my thoughts for, okay, how are we going to get out of this, or how are we going to make this better? In hindsight, I feel like there are pieces of that trip that if I had it to do over again, it would have been more enjoyable. But it's one of those things where you don't know until you know. Like by the end of the trip, we learned that the kid-only activities were outstanding. And had we just taken advantage of those earlier in the trip, my daughter could have had fun. My wife and I would have had a more relaxing time just hanging out with, the two of us. So you don't know until the last day. And then you're like, shit, I could have had so much better, better time, whatever.
That is, And I guess those moments become like more rare as you become a parent. You're like, oh my God, we can drop her off and she's entertained, and happy, and we can enjoy ourselves on this boat guilt-free. Oh, why weren't we doing this all week?
Right. Well, I would have also been able to utilize the pool too, because they had adult only pools that I could have set up the lift, had them set up the lift. I mean, it would have been, I would have had to give them 3 hours notice to do it, but I'm just saying that would have been a possibility had I known. So, but I did have a question for you. So with your holiday, I just wanted to know, what were some of the down moments? What were some of the, just the fight, not fights, but the disagreement that you had with Chris?
Well, I'm glad you asked actually, because I've got like 3 more videos. I've released a video while I was on holiday. Actually, I managed to get it edited while I was on holiday. Yeah, well, me too. But I kind of shot the shots and I put them all in order in iMovie, and I was like, okay, well, all I need to do is quickly edit this, and when I say quickly, it did still take about 5 hours, but I managed to snag a little bit of time while Chris was hanging out with their sisters. Anyway, sorry, your question. So we did have some low lights. So my point was to go in with the edit. I've got loads of footage that I want to edit more videos with, and I want to show the low lights and the highlights. I feel like sometimes Instagram is like a highlight reel of people's holidays. It's just lovely pictures and stuff, which is fine. But with YouTube, I want to show the full extent of the video I did, trying to get into that gym. That sucked. That really was so it really tested my patience. And to what you said earlier, like, what could I do with the power of hindsight? I was actually really proud of myself that, like, during, when I was in the eye of the storm, I was like, okay, look, I can't change the gym. I just have to change my attitude. Like, what can I do? And instead of getting the hump, I just went in and had like a good workout in the end and just like used the equipment that I could. But getting back to like your point, like more acutely with the tensions between us. Yeah. So like I say, you messaged me when we were having like probably the worst argument we've ever had, like hands down. And it was tough. Like we were on holiday, and there were lowlights, there were highlights. The spectrum was broad. Like we had the worst argument we've ever had, but we've also had the best, most exquisite moments we've ever had as well. Like as a couple, we were blissfully content at times, and then for some reason this argument brewed, and it just wouldn't go away, and we were stuck in the car together, like driving across Spain, and it was awful, man, absolutely awful. However, one of the things that I felt was really good was that we were just struggling to communicate our needs. And one of the things that we came up with eventually, and again, hindsight's 2020, like when you're in the eye of the storm, it's like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think is really important in relationships is to communicate your needs with your partner, and don't expect them to know what you want without explicitly saying it, and then sort of resent you for not being a mind reader, which was kind of what was going on. Yeah, and I was like, oh, well, why don't you just communicate that with me? And she was like, well, you should just know. And I'm like, well, I feel like you're setting yourself up for this if you think that I can read your mind. So that was basically the crux of it.
So it's the age-old, men are for Mars, women are for Venus kind of deal. That is something that all women expect us to do. My wife does the same thing. I mean, nothing against them. It's just their brain works a certain way. Our brain works a certain way. And yeah, there's so many times that I've said, why didn't you just tell me? And she's like, you're supposed to know. I don't know. Oh God.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just knew that I had a feeling whatever you were experiencing is likely exactly what I've experienced too.
So comfortable relationships require uncomfortable conversations, and that is exactly what happened with us. We had an extremely uncomfortable conversation, but we had like this sort of like moment where it was like, oh, like, I came up with a little saying, unspoken expectations manifest as future resentments. And I just thought, this is perfect. Like you have these unspoken expectations, and because I haven't picked up on your your mental brainwave, you're resenting me for not doing these things. Again, like it's hard when you can't contribute in the same way. Like, for example, logistically, like getting the luggage to and from the Airbnb, all the driving, because she was driving a manual van and we didn't have my car, so I couldn't share the load driving. One of the issues was I fell asleep during one of the big long car journeys, and then she after 4 hours she was like, I'm livid, you're supposed to be co-piloting, and I'm like, oh sorry, I just nodded off, I didn't think that was a problem. So once we've communicated these things, like when we were driving back from Torrevieja, I was like, oh, okay, like, let's have a Red Bull, and like, let's stay awake and let's engage in a conversation. We had this conversational prompt game, and we got to know each other really well. We had like an hour-long conversation, which could have been a podcast. It was brilliant. It was beautiful. It was so lovely. And she was like, this is what I mean by being a good co-pilot. And I'm like, oh, amazing. Like that's why you communicate that with me, right? But, maybe I should have known not to fall asleep, but you know what I mean? These are little examples of the issues, the obstacles that we had to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can only imagine how stressful just driving, that far of a distance. I was really surprised that you guys drove back, because you flew in to Spain and you met her there. I didn't realize that it was an insanely long drive back. And I was just curious if you guys got into it going back, but it sounds like the return was better than while you guys were actually there.
Nah, dude, we are so much closer now. It's ridiculous. Like they say everything happens for a reason. Like we've just moved in together, and then we just went on this amazing holiday. Honestly, it was one of the best weeks of my life. It was great. But I'm not going to lie, there were really low times, but there were some exquisite moments, and we've become so much closer. And now we live together, and now like we're a team. And
Yeah.
I kept saying to her, like, we're a team. Like, it's not you versus me, it's us versus the world. Like, let's get on the same team. And we've sort of embraced that quite a lot. And yeah, when we got home, there was some what's the word? Unrealistic expectations. So, for example, I think I put in the video that the catheter company, and I said, instead of sending me 2 months supply of catheters, can you send me 1? Because I've got a much smaller apartment. Somehow this got lost in communication, and they sent me 5 months supply. So I had 5 massive boxes here when we got back. Plus my wheelchair bike was in here, and I was in the car. So she came in, and I couldn't like manage her expectations. And I was like, oh shit. So she came out and was like, oh, I expected it to be clean and tidy when I got back. And I'm like, yeah, that was a little bit out of my control. Sorry. But then we got on the same team, and now we've been nesting, and we've spent the whole week nesting and settling in, and it's been really, really lovely. But yeah, there's been a few disappointments, and then I've had to, kind of make up for them a bit. So yeah.
Yeah. And I just didn't know if like there was going to be an overexposure of your face, like sometimes you get sick of seeing somebody, day in and day out on a vacation, and even when you get home. I didn't know if you guys had that, but it sounds like you didn't. So that's good.
No, absolutely not. It is interesting though, because when I was living on my own, I had all this time to like decompress after like little disagreements or whatever. And now we have to navigate these situations of like, oh my God, we're really angry at each other, but we're stuck in a van or we're stuck in a small flat together. And we have to be mindful of each other's feelings, and we have to navigate these situations very delicately, which we have been doing so well so far. We've been nailing it. I've been so proud of us. And honestly, I couldn't love this girl anymore. In fact, I said this to her the other day. We were cuddling in bed, and I was like, I couldn't love you anymore right now. And then she was like, and I was like, oh, okay.
Just a little icing on the cake.
The timing was so comical. Yeah. So yeah, it's good. It's been really good.
Wow. That sounds like something my wife and I would do.
Yeah.
We're gross. I mean, that's just how we roll. It's funny because it took her like 10 years to fart in front of me. And then one day she did it, and then it just hasn't stopped, It's just like, oh, you didn't hear that. No big deal.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's awesome though, man. Like that your relationship, I mean, even years from now too, like I feel like my relationship just continues to grow. It's weird because you think, how can it get any better than this? And then, it continues to get better, at least for us. Yeah. And it's that making time for each other that I think has really helped us a lot. Especially with a kid, she's our primary responsibility, she's on the grid. So we have to make sure she's not, falling off the map. So, but yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time, just the two of us too. So it's good. It works out. We found that balance.
That's nice, man. One of the things you just said then I can relate to so much was like, I didn't think this relationship could get any better. I didn't think I could love you anymore. And I'm like, wow, every day I feel like I really love you more and more. Like that we've grown so close on this holiday. I kind of repeating myself a little bit, but like, it's so interesting how you think, oh, I'm literally 11 out of 10 right now. Things couldn't possibly get better. And then they just keep getting better. And I'm like, wow, this is insane. I know we've been together for 2 years, but like, you think the honeymoon period kind of wears off, but I don't know. We are just absolutely flying at the moment. I feel my life is abundant in so many ways. I feel like I've won the love lottery, maybe the life lottery. I'm literally like giddy with gratitude every day I wake up. So it's absolutely fantastic, man. I'm so stoked. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
There's a song by John Legend. I don't know if you've heard it, but it's I Don't Love You Like I Used to. So it sounds like it's a negative connotation, but basically what he's going into is, I don't love you like I used to. I don't love you just the same. I love you so much more. And basically talking about how, we're not in the honeymoon stage anymore. Like that never lasts, doing it all the time, like constantly. And, even the love notes and all that kind of will fade eventually, but
yeah,
you're still left with good stuff in the end.
I'm sure it will. That's the thing. I'm sure it will. Like, I'm sure it has to, I don't know. I'm kind of like in that weird stage of like, it's gotta, when you're like, when life just gives you so much good stuff, and then you're like, well, there's got to be a catch, right? Like, I'm waiting to get tripped up here. Like, am I going to die this week? Like, I don't know.
When's that other shoe going to drop kind of thing? I get it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So anyway, let me switch gears and ask you a question, because you've also been on holiday. Can you share some of the highlights and lowlights from your trip?
Well, I got two. Well, I mean, yeah, with the cruise, it was mainly the non-accessible pool that really pissed me off because it was a family pool. And I'm thinking this is a very accessible ship in every other way. How are you going to make it non-accessible for the pool? But yeah, I feel like I've already kind of gone into the cruise stuff with Brittany. I would kind of want to bring up what happened this weekend.
Please do, yeah.
Yeah. So, we got together on Friday night, met at this cabin, had a great night, probably drank a little bit too much. And, but I woke up feeling fine. So I got up and did my morning bow routine, which I knew was going to take an hour. I was thankful that there was plenty other bathrooms for other people because I didn't want to hold them up too. And then after that, we had breakfast and we were going to go on a hike where there was this really accessible trail. It was about 90% accessible, but we were in Hocking Hills, which is in Ohio, and it's beautiful, scenic. Like everything is just gorgeous. They have Old Man's Cave, and long story short, we were getting ready to leave. All the families were getting ready to leave, and I go to the bathroom, and I got the sensation of I need to pee. Yeah, and then it wasn't pee. Oh, so I shit myself. Yeah, which doesn't happen that often. I mean, I know I feel like it may seem like it happens often because I always bring it up with you, but it really does. I mean, I hadn't had an issue for weeks, even on our cruise. Thank God I didn't have any issues. But here I am in a non-accessible cabin. There was no way to take a shower. There was no way to do any, even the bathroom, it was big enough for me to get in and shut the door, which is great, but no grab bars and stuff that I'm used to. I know you don't have that. But it was tricky. My only saving grace in this situation was that my wife happened to be in the bathroom at the same time, because I was thinking there's no way I'm going back out there with, pants full of shit.
Yeah.
Made the best of it. But the problem was that my daughter was now crying because she wanted to go with all the other kids, and she felt like she was missing out since she had to wait on dad. And I felt guilty about that. And so I am just trying to be a father and talk to my kid like it's okay, we'll catch up with them. Meanwhile, I'm trying to get my business handled, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. Yeah. Literally and figuratively speaking, it was a mess. But once we got over that, it was kind of ironic because we found out that one of my friends had the car key to his wife's car, and she had to leave. So they got all the way to where we were going to go, and then they had to come back. And then a minute later, I see my best friend pulling back in, and his 2-year-old son had puked all over the back of the car. So long story short, I wasn't the only one dealing with shit, which was good. Yeah. And what happened was we ended up all leaving again at the same exact time because they took care of that business. I took care of my stuff. The key was returned, and we went and did this hike, and it was gorgeous. I mean, it was an absolutely amazing afternoon. We just had to get over that morning hump.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So I want to go back to, so how did you manage to clean yourself up then if there was no shower or, I mean, you go into as much detail as you want.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think by the time I got my pants down and stuff, it's smeared on the back of my legs. And so luckily my wife was able to get, a wet towel and I was sitting there lifting my legs, cleaning up as much as I could. But ultimately what I did, I took a Gatorade bottle, a large Gatorade bottle. Oh, yeah. And just, had her fill it up with water. And then I took just shower gel and basically just kept dumping it on my crotch and rubbing it around and rubbing it on my legs. So I was able to use soap because that's my biggest.
Where were you? Well, it's still in the toilet.
I was still on the toilet. Yeah. So I was over the top of the toilet and dumping it down into my lap. so it was going into the toilet. But I got some water on the floor and stuff. But that ended up working.
That must have been pretty uncomfortable for you.
It was not fun. It was not fun at all.
Sorry.
What I worry about the most too is when I have an accident, just making sure I get, the twig and 2 bits as clean as I can, because I don't want to have a UTI issue,
Yeah.
Anytime that happens, you get bacteria in your pee hole, and that's not fun. So luckily, I think I cleaned up as best I could.
Yeah, man, that's wild. So were you worried at all about going on the hike, and being like, okay, well, I hope it's all out, because two questions, that one. And also, do you ever think, thank goodness that did not happen on the hike?
Yes. No, those were the exact thoughts I had. I wasn't too worried about it happening again, because you got to think, at this point, I've already done my morning shit, and then I had the blowout. So what the hell else could there be? I always check myself. If I have an accident, I check myself to make sure I've got it all out. But it was mainly the gratitude of not having done it in the car, or not having done it on the trail. That would not have been fun. So I got the shit out of the way first,
Yeah, man. That happens. That happens to me as well. Again, very, very, very rarely. But it happened on holiday. But I think you might have heard me mention this before. I haven't done one of these in a long time. But instead of shitting myself, I did a looby fart, which is some sort of expulsion from my anus, which is not, it's not poo, and it's I don't know. It's loo.
I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, right. So
it's like a clear, yellowish clear something.
Yeah. So that
I've had it too, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. I don't know.
And, I just farting, and because I quite like a good fart. I'm like, so I have to lift myself up. I was like, oh, and I was like, I gotta go to the toilet. Went to the toilet, and I'm like, immediately, I'm like, thank God, we're literally just about to leave the house.
Yeah.
Thank God it happened right now. This is a blessing. I get to change my pants, and it didn't happen, for example, on the trail. That would have been terrible. So it's funny how sometimes when you're in the eye of the storm, the eye of the shit storm, you can still find gratitude in the moment to be like, well, at least I wasn't, at the top of a mountain, because that would be really shit.
Right. But I feel like it was also Murphy's Law that, out of any place it's going to happen in some place I can't take a shower. That's what I was thinking at the time. Like, mother F, this, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I feel like people always hear us talk about poop. Sorry, guys.
I mean, that's part of having a spinal cord injury. That is one of the unfortunate side effects, and it's real to talk about it. So, I think it's nice if you do suffer with what's the word I'm looking for? Shitting yourself. There's a more eloquent word. I can't think of it right now.
I don't know what it is.
Incontinence, fecal incontinence. And you do hear these stories. It's nice to hear two grown men laugh about it, because if you're newly injured and you're like, oh my God, am I ever gonna get over this? You could be like, oh yeah, one day I'll laugh about it, because it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Unless it happens, there's only 2 of my worst case nightmare situations. 1 being on an airplane, and 2 being in a pool, a public pool.
Oh yeah,
that would be the worst. That would be the worst.
Did you ever see
you're swimming around and all of a sudden it looks like a squid just went by?
And then everyone would have to get out the pool, and you probably wouldn't be invited back. You'd be like, hey, we can't really risk that happening again, so now you're banned from the pool. You'd be like, oh no, but I've been coming here for 10 years.
Yeah. It's what was it, Caddyshack, when they had to drain the whole pool or whatever it was? I don't know if you've seen that movie from the 80s.
No, I don't think so. I've heard of it, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Did you hear the podcast I did with a guy called Rodrigo Souza? He shit himself on a plane.
Yes, I heard that. And he had to fly for hours. He had to just sit there for hours, just not moving, right? He was afraid. transfer or do anything because then you smell it.
So the thing is, like, when he told the story, he was like, I can smell shit. And he didn't know. He didn't know it was him. So he was like, I think this old lady's farting. This old lady's probably like, I think this guy shits himself. So it was so funny. And then all of a sudden he was like, oh, it's me. I've shit myself. And I'm like, you could just imagine like, no, please, no. And then you've got to, the guys have got to come to get you on the aisle chair. You've got to squelch into the aisle chair. At what point do you say, oh, by the way, you've got to come clean, right? Or do you say something? I mean, I can't even remember how the story went.
Do you make a joke about it?
It's wild. I mean, I would imagine you couldn't keep it secret. Like it's, you'd have to be, by the way, I shot myself.
Right. Well, I felt so bad for him too, because he didn't have any, I think he was flying alone, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had nobody, no friends or no, significant other to give him a hand. So basically once he got to the airport, he had to have somebody wheel him into a bathroom so he could clean up, but he did it all by himself. So I think about that too. Like, thank God I had my wife there. What would I have done if it was just me? I wouldn't be able to fill up a water bottle. If I'm sitting on the toilet, I would have been screwed. Probably I'd have to call my buddies and say, I need your help. But that's a little bit more awkward to go to your male friends and say, hey, can you help me clean my ass up, please?
But it does bring you closer together. Like your friends after that, you would be tight, And they'd be like, hey, Brian, remember that time you shit yourself?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because that was one of my biggest fears when I first got injured. My friends were telling me like, hey, come on, just get out of the house. Let's go have some fun. You've been, stuck in this house forever. And I was so worried about shitting myself out of the house. And sure enough, it happened. And I was with my best friend, my buddy, and he cleaned it up. He just cleaned it up. There was some that got on the ground. There was some that got in my car. Like, he just did it. And, a while later I said, I really, thank you so much. Like, and the other part of it was he was trying to keep it low key from our other friends, just very nonchalant. Like, we'll just take care of this. And later on I said, thank you so much for doing that. And he's like, water under the bridge, bud. Like, not a big deal.
Yeah. Nice.
Didn't make a big deal about it. So it was cool.
That's a good friend.
Yes, it is. He's a very good friend.
I would like to think that I would be as good a friend as that. I think I'd like to think I would do that for someone. I'm pretty sure I would, but it's, it takes a special person to be like, yeah, okay, we got this, man. Like, keep it low key. I'm going to clean you up. We're going to get out of here. No worries. Water under the bridge, Well, let's not speak about it again. It's all good.
Right. One of my other friends that was with us at the time isn't the most tactful person. And he's like, what'd you do? Did you shit your pants? Did you shit your pants? And my best friend's like, shut the fuck up. Like, just shut up. We don't need this right now. So anyway.
There's someone in the comments, Samantha Tremelin, asking, what level of injury are you, Brian?
I am a T1 complete. So about armpit level, trying to feel. Yeah, it's basically like kind of across the upper chest. It's not like a perfect line, it kind of slopes off to one side, but yeah, that's what I got. No sensation.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
no sensation
for me,
below the chest.
You saw the video I put out recently of me doing sit-ups. So like for me, so you and I are both paraplegics, but if you had, I guess if you had what I had, you would consider that almost a superpower. You'd be like, oh my God, I can balance myself. I don't have to like keep holding on to stuff. Like, so it's interesting how much more movement and sensation and feeling I have than you. But from T12 to T1, like I have all of that. Yeah, it's kind of doesn't really feel fair sometimes, to have.
Yeah. Well, I get jealous. I was watching that video of you doing the sit-ups and I'm like, damn, I wish I could do that. And it's the same scenario of quadriplegics watching us and saying, man, I really wish I had my hands. It's all just the way you look at it. But I I watch how you balance a lot of the times,
Yeah.
and I'm impressed. I'm like, damn, because there is so much that I have to be holding on to be able to stabilize myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? I actually wanted to give this guy a shout out. What was his name? What was his? I think it was Hold My Wheels. It was a YouTube channel, Hold My Wheels, and he's a guy. He's only got like 250 subscribers. He's a guy absolutely jacked, like really jacked upper body, like really skinny legs. So I think he's like definitely got some sort of he might even have spina bifida. I don't know. Like I just saw one of his videos, and he was again, he went up to this castle. I'll have to send you the link. But he went up to this castle in his wheelchair, and he was when I thought I was a wheelchair ninja. This guy was an absolute monster in a wheelchair. Like, but so yeah, he's very, very strong upper body. So yeah, I'm not sure like what his level of injury is, but like it was insanely impressive what he does. But again, it's one of those sort of going full circle back to the beginning, that he can manipulate his wheelchair and get around so well. But he did this one thing where he like had to get out of his wheelchair to pull it up on a step and then transfer back in. But when I saw his legs didn't have any spasticity at all, and the transfer he did was like whoop, I was like, oh my God, that is so wild. So I do understand. Again, like I do have what's the word? A lot of core strength, but my spasticity holds me back so much from like moving freely. Like my floor transfers would be so much easier if I wasn't held back by like, you know, like my legs just jutting out like this.
And you wouldn't have fallen down the stairs.
Yeah, I wouldn't have fallen down the stairs. And if I, so there was a comment earlier, like asking how I got back in my wheelchair. I can get back in my wheelchair. It's you know, floor transfers aren't that bad, but like again, my spasms were really bad. So it's like the worse your spasms are, the harder the transfer is. You know, so it wasn't a pretty transfer. In fact, some people came over and they were like, actually, because Chris was filming and laughing at me, they were like, "Do you know this guy?"
Yeah.
Well, you would hope so, right?
Yeah, I heard people in the background. I wasn't sure what they said.
Yeah, they were like, does he need help? And I was like trying to be stubbornly independent. I was like, no, I'm good. And I like clumsily got myself back in my wheelchair. I should have just said, like just lift me back in the chair. But again, I was like, no, I can do this. I've got this. And then, I got myself back in the chair. It was not a pretty looking transfer, but so I kind of got really distracted. Sorry, I just saw a comment and it made me think of something. But that guy, Hold My Wheels, his YouTube channel looks really cool. I really want to like give him like signal boost his channel. You should go check it out because he is incredibly, what's the word? Like I like to think of myself like if newly injured folk was to look at my channel and yours, they would be like, oh, you know, that's something to look up to. But this guy, I look up to this guy. So like, you know, it's like a little chain of like, you know, this guy is incredibly capable. So yeah, you should check him out. That's
awesome. Yeah, I definitely will. I was trying to look in the comments too to see what we got.
I got one from Brittany saying, I'm watching. She's a voyeur.
Hi, Brittany. That's
so
awesome.
Yeah. Also, this one, nice that Brian always stands in if you or Brit are not available. He is awesome. I agree. You are awesome.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I'm the backup. I'm the fill-in.
You're the third wheel.
I know.
Yeah.
I like it though. We have good combos.
We do indeed. Have you got anything else to share from your latest holiday?
I'm trying to think. I just realized that I can't hang like I used to as far as being up super late, drinking 2 nights in a row. Because today I definitely don't feel, you know, like if I had done the same thing when I was 25, I would be completely normal. I just feel like maybe 20% less human at the moment. So, and I know you don't drink anymore, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. But I think the coolest thing about the trip was just having multiple families together. It's almost more relaxing when you have more families because
Oh yeah.
there's more adult eyes to watch the kids, and the kids can go do their own thing, and the adults can just hang out. So it was fun. We would put them to bed, and then it was just adult only hangout session for the next several hours. So I'm just really glad we did that.
Yeah, that's nice, man. That's really cool. There's something we actually, like, we're 45 minutes in, so I'm pretty sure we can talk about this now, because a lot of people, if they're watching, they'll probably tune it like afterwards. They would have tuned out by now. But you asked me a little while ago. I told you about some supplements that I was taking that had increased my libido, and apparently they're good for like boosting testosterone. And I've had some remarkable results. So I thought I would share with you the supplements that I've been taking, which have given me these results. And it's this alpha male supplement called Fedosia, Tonkat Ali, and Turkesterone. So these are little tablets I take once a day. They're little supplements. They're naturally occurring herbs or whatever. I was really skeptical at first because my friend Benji, he messaged me, said, "Oh, you got to try these," like, because again, this is something that we've spoken about a lot, but I realized that it's kind of awkward talking about it, because now I think that my girlfriend's family watches my channel, so it's a really awkward thing to talk about. But sort of like for intimacy, I've been using, like, since my injury, I've been using Viagra, and Viagra is a very effective way, to maintain an erection for me. It doesn't work for everyone with a spinal cord injury, but oh my god, man, these bad boys I've been waking up with like morning wood. Like, I'm 42 years old. I've been waking up and I'm like, hello ladies, look at you.
Right.
Like, I'm like, this is so good. I've had like an increased libido, like, and I've been feeling stronger at the gym. So they are meant to like naturally increase testosterone, but I was skeptical of like how much this would work. But because Benji said it worked incredibly well, I've not been using Viagra. Like, it works that well. Like,
wow.
I've been, like, very, very much functioning like a fully functioning, person, which is awesome. Like, really, really.
That
cool.
is awesome. That is awesome, man. I'm jealous. I really am, because for me, I don't know, even if it pops up, it's like, it doesn't stick around very long. So I wanted to ask you, like, are you able to do it and have a full erection the entire time? Do you use like anything additional to maintain it, or is it just the Viagra?
Just so before I was taking this, it was Viagra, and say for example, we were going to have like a long session. I don't know. Again, I'm a little bit concerned that there might be like. Anyway, so Viagra is like for, the long game, I guess you could call it. Yeah. But if it's like, if we're gonna have like I don't know, if like, it's interesting because like we've been getting carried away on holiday, and the mood will take us, like a little afternoon delight, and it's lovely to be able to perform it at a moment's notice, and that is amazing. It's like a gift from God. It's absolutely glorious. And I was so skeptical of like these little things helping. And like I say, you don't have to buy this brand. Like, you can get these from, I think in the US, there's a company called Momentous, like livemomentous.com or something. They do the Tonkat Ali and stuff like that. So what I was going to say is I kind of want to signal boost these bad boys, because if you've got a spinal cord injury, they've helped me loads. It's not guaranteed to help you or anyone watching. Remember, I do have an incomplete injury or like a low injury, but oh my god, the difference is night and day, and it's wild, man. It's incredibly impressive stuff. So
that is awesome. That is so cool. You can still get a psychological erection too, right?
Yeah.
Or can you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm sure those two things really help, with the supplement and still having that connection, because I don't have any connection anymore. And it's like, the only way it's doing anything is to, play with it. That's pretty much the only way I can get it to work.
Well, that's what it was like. That's what it was like at the beginning of my injury. I had no feeling like, again, like when I did the sit-up video with the abs, like I had no, I've got so much feeling back and sensation back and muscle strength back. The only thing that's such a ball ache is the spasms. They really piss me off so much, but I really can't complain because like I couldn't even get up off the bed after my injury, and now I can do sit-ups, you know, and now thanks to these bad boys, I'm like fine, you know, like you know, the sex life, you know, it's been awesome, man. So really, you know, again, I'm a little bit shy. Normally, I'm not that shy to talk about it. It's just I've become aware recently that my girlfriend's family like watch my videos, and apparently they get dubbed in Spanish, but apparently it's some weird South American Spanish. So
how do you translate boner in Spanish?
I don't know. But there's so many videos on my channel of me talking about this anyway. I don't know why I feel bashful about it, but
I don't anymore. I mean, I really don't think there's anything that I get embarrassed about like that with that kind of stuff. The only thing would be the poop stuff, and clearly I'm not that embarrassed about it because I just put it on a podcast. So, yep. I did have a question for you though about the spasms. So, you know, we had talked about how you kind of tried to wean off baclofen, and then you found your point of, oh my God, this sucks. And then you turned it back up. Why do you not want to increase it even more just to make your daily life better? Do you like having, you know, like what's the pros and the cons to that?
You know, that's a really good question, because I have like the prescription now for more. So I could just up it like by a third. I'm not sure. The thing is, I'm not 100% sure that more baclofen helps. Like, I know that no baclofen, that my spasms are really bad, but I'm not sure if more baclofen helps. Like, and like I said to you before, sometimes my spasms are bad for no reason whatsoever. I'm like, I wake up in the morning, sometimes they're just like, the spasms, we're going to be dickheads today. We're not going to let you rest. Sometimes I wake up in the night and my legs are really spazzy, and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I try to take more baclofen, and you know, does it help? I don't really know, but I try to take the least amount, because then it gives me, like, if they do get worse, I can take a bit more. But yeah, I guess you're right. Like, why don't I just up the dose? I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. You know, but like, I think maybe the answer is because I'm not fully convinced that if I up the dose, it will increase the quality of my life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. I was just curious because I was thinking I thought maybe it was just trying to get away from how many pills you're taking. If that was the ball ache for you, or if it was just not wanting to be tethered to baclofen, even though you know you already are, regardless.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to stop taking it altogether was because I didn't want to be tethered to the medication, you know? But now I am tethered to the medication. Why don't I take more? Again, it's a good question. I think just the answer I gave is the reason, really.
Yeah. Well, you could try it, and if it does, you know, nothing's set in stone.
This comment, I think he meant to say Fred's girlfriend, but I'm pretty sure he meant Fred's girlfriend. In the Madrid vlog, a little Viagra should be needed. She's a 10 out of 10 with all due respect. Thanks, Marco. I'm going to show Chris this. She'll love that. That's amazing.
Yes. You gotta
screenshot
God. It.
Don't get me wrong, Marco. When the time calls for it, you know, she deserves. I know. I'm picking up what you're putting down. You know, I have to be vague, but yes, don't worry.
Yep.
I know what you mean. We've got a comment here. Hey, Fred, just curious if you know how Richard from Wheels to Walking is doing. He doesn't post on YouTube and Instagram anymore, and I think many people in his comment section are concerned. Hope he's okay. Well, Lillian, I messaged him very recently, and he messaged back, and he is fine. He's all good. He doesn't speak much to me these days like we do. I've messaged him a few times, but we used to be quite tight, but now we've lost contact. But he's okay. He's alive and well, as far as I know. So yeah.
Maybe he just did exactly what I did for a couple of years. You just kind of fall off the map, and you know, you're busy doing other things, and yeah,
Yeah,
that might have been it. That might have been why.
exactly. Hey, one of the things, like, so I know that you've got like a hard out in like 5 minutes, right? So one of the things.
Maybe
Okay.
not hard out, but
All right, cool.
soon.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things that was really good. So I wanted to talk a little bit about. I touched on this in the video. One of the things that I was struggling with was the fact that I couldn't speak Spanish.
Yes.
And it made such a huge difference. When I got back to France and being able to conversate in French, I was like, oh, you know, and I kept saying merci instead of gracias. And like, I just felt like a knob. And when it came to like communicating with Chris's dad, you know, I couldn't speak anything. We didn't communicate directly. It was either him so that we had her 3 sisters. They would translate. So it was either me talking to the 3 of them or him talking to the 3 of them, but we weren't really communicating, and it was a real obstacle for connection. But I did manage to do a lot of magic, and that really helped.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That really helped with the, what's the word? Connection. Yeah. So that was really cool. And on that note, I wanted to show you a magic trick.
Cool. Let's do it.
It's at the end of the podcast, and as I like to do at the end of a podcast. Let me just move this back and see. So I've got these. Let me see if you can see. Let me move the microphone a little bit. So I've got these loyalty cards. I don't know if you like. They don't really do them much anymore. But I got these loyalty cards in Spain because I found them in like Starbucks and stuff. So what I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to write my name here, Fred, and then on this one I'm going to write Brian. Okay.
Okay.
I'm just going to make sure that dries. Okay. Okay. Now listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip these in half like this. And then I'm going to take the 2 edges like this. Okay. And I'm going to see like how, like, if it look, it's really weird. I don't know if you can see what's going on here. Give me a sec. I'm just going to quickly give it a little magic. And they're actually joined now. And they're actually, you can take that as a souvenir. And they are completely
the hell?
Joined.
What the hell? How did you do that? Oh, that is amazing. Wait a minute. Dang, they were 2 completely separate pieces.
And now they're joined in the middle. And the only way to get them apart is to rip them.
What the hell? That is crazy. Yeah, man. Those magic tricks, I swear, they've got to bring people together. You know, they're entertaining. I mean, that's legit. You got
Thanks,
the skill.
man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love the key one. The key one's great.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. So that was one of the ones I was doing with Chris's family, and it's such a nice one because it doesn't involve like a deck of cards or any sort of like traditional magic prop. It's just like a little bit seems a little bit spontaneous. So that was one that really went down well. It really, I was really happy with the way that it was well received. And also you get like a souvenir, you get to keep it. And people are like, what? How do you do that? What?
Right.
And then I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool.
And I'm impressed that you had Kentucky Fried Chicken in Europe.
Yeah. We got KFC and Starbucks, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, it's Kentucky Fried Chicken. So I thought maybe KFC that was just US based.
KFC is worldwide, man.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah. Australia, New Zealand, everywhere I've traveled in the world, there's been a KFC and a Subway. Apparently there's more Subways in the world than McDonald's.
Really? What?
Yeah.
I thought McDonald's would be the biggest. I don't know. I don't really even like McDonald's.
Me neither, man. Me neither.
Yeah,
well, anyway. Yeah. So I'm stoked I got to show you the trick. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like that's like I get nervous when I perform magic, but when I was in Spain, this was actually one of the highlights of the trip for me, was I kept doing magic. Like, in fact, I always find it hard to introduce a magic trick. So I made up my mind to when people say, "Oh, what do you do?" I'd be like, "Oh, I'm a magician," and they're like, "No way, you're a magician." I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, can you show us something?" And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I mean, have you seen these like loyalty cards? I didn't even know that they did things anymore. And then you do that, and people are like, "What the hell?" So it's like really cool. And then you're like, "Can you show me something else?" And you get a pack of cards out, and oh man, I was doing like some really nice magic routines. And because I was practicing pretty much every day, like when I would meet Chris's friends and Chris's family, I would show them magic, and I got really quite good at it. Like, you get a lot better when you practice and you perform, and to perform is to practice. So for example, it's no secret, magic involves a lot of misdirection, and sometimes the misdirection, like, I'll give you an example. I did a trick maybe about a month ago to like a little kid, and he immediately saw how I did it, and he was like, no, that's that's how you did it. And I was like, oh shit, like that's on me. That's
called you out.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But that was brilliant feedback, because I was like, yeah, you're right, that is absolutely obvious. The moment of misdirection should be, like, it should be way more subtle, and you shouldn't just roll into that trick. Again, I'm being subtle because I'm being vague, because I don't want to give away how the trick works. But yeah, the misdirection should be misdirected, basically. So as I was like performing, I would like leave huge gaps between little things, and I would do different tricks in between. And then, like the punchline of the trick would be so like mind-blowing. People would be like, "What? How did you do that? You didn't even touch me." And I'm like, yeah. It's so, oh man, it filled me up. Like, to introduce myself as a magician, and then obviously convince people that I am a magician, because I literally just entertained them with, in their mind, real magic. I was like, shit, I am a magician. Like, yeah, it filled me up, man. It was such a great way to connect, and especially like past the language barrier. It was super fun.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah, it had to be a great icebreaker for not being able to communicate. That would be hard. Yeah, that was one question that I asked you, is how well were you able to communicate? Because I had mentioned that I'd like to eventually go to Italy, and I don't speak any Italian, but I have a friend that lives there. And I'm like, what is that going to be like if I can't speak? Am I just going to be like attaching myself to whoever can speak English? Am I going to miss out on a lot of stuff since I can't understand their language? So yeah. I don't know.
So it's so interesting. Again, like when you said hindsight, what I would do different about this holiday, dude, I would have learned Spanish. Like, I was doing Spanish Duolingo while I was there, and I was like, why didn't I do this before? Like, even just like lo siento, no hablo español. It would have just gone a long way, rather than like, do you speak English? I'll have a hamburger. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just sound like such a knob. Like,
right.
So even just like the smallest tiny little things would have went so far, just to be like, oh, I am English. I don't really speak the language, but I can communicate like a tiny bit. I've made a little bit of effort. I made zero effort. And I was just like, what an idiot. Like, you're trying to make a good impression. You've been practicing your magic loads, but you didn't practice any Spanish. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the burden does kind of fall on us. I mean, you can't go to another country, but the person I was talking about also came back and said plenty of people in Italy know English, and there's so many people. What I find so intriguing about Europe is how there's so many languages, but in such a relatively, small geographical area. Whereas I'm in the middle of, the US, and really Spanish is the only language that I have some familiarity with. They're over any other language.
Yeah.
So,
it's widely spoken in America, right?
It is. Yeah. I mean, we have even, television commercials now, a lot of them are in Spanish, and it's just weird to think even 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been the situation, but we all have a lot of Spanish people, speaking people here now. So I'm picking up on it. And for work, I have to communicate um, with people all over the world. So, Portuguese and, Spanish are a lot of the languages that people are communicating to me in. Luckily, they're doing it electronically, so I can, translate it. But there have been times that I get a voicemail and I'm trying to decipher in Spanish to convert it to English, and I'm kind of able to do that. I don't know.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I saw an advert recently for some glasses, like some AI glasses, that when someone speaks Spanish to you, it will like put English subtitles on the glasses. And I was like, what? That is so cool. But I guess you'd need 2 pairs to communicate properly.
Damn. That does sound like it would work. I mean, that's like a feasible option.
Yeah.
Something
I might get some
like that.
And like not tell my girlfriend. And then when she's like talking on the phone to her mum, I could just be like with the glasses and just see the subtitles, see what they're talking about.
Yep. That's awesome, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's one thing I definitely would have done differently is learn a bit of Spanish. And I feel really foolish in hindsight for not even learning a little bit. Like I said in the video, or maybe I didn't say this in the video, but like one of the videos coming out, I wanted to communicate with Chris's dad that I love your daughter, don't worry. Like I'm a good dude. I'll take care of her. You don't have got nothing to worry about. I wanted to demonstrate that. Also, I guess like maybe having like a little bit of insecurity because of the wheelchair. Like, hey, don't worry. Like just because I'm in a wheelchair, like doesn't mean that, she's going to look after me one day. Like we're a team. I just, reassurance, like, and just connection with her dad would have been nice. Like her mom speaks fluent French, so we could communicate that way. But like with her dad, it was just, it was, I don't know. It was interesting,
Yeah. I was going to say, like, we had talked about that movie Love Actually from like back at Christmas time. Yeah. And how that guy, I forget what language he learns, but he learns her language and she learns English. And then they had that weird, that cool communication at the end. Yeah. I was like, that should have been you, man. You should have learned how to talk to her dad.
Instead, I was just like, is this your card?
Right. Hey, man, at least you had something, And he wasn't entertained, right?
He was, I hope I left a good impression. It was fairly unclear if I don't know. I fell out my wheelchair like a knob. And then we had to find a place to eat, and we had to find a place where Alba wanted the sandwich that she wanted, and it wasn't too expensive, it wasn't too touristy, and also we had to find a place with a wheelchair accessible toilet. So we were actually going around loads of different places, and I was like, oh man, like this is, I'm holding us back because we need to find a place with an accessible toilet in the center of Madrid. Right. And that was, that plays on your insecurities a little bit. You kind of want to overcompensate sometimes.
Yeah. I had another question. What did you think of the food?
Loved it.
Yeah.
We had octopus. I've never eaten an octopus before, but the octopus came out whole. And I was like, oh man, oh God. I'm not a vegetarian and I'm not squeamish, but like, I kind of like octopi or whatever. And I was like, I don't really want to eat this bad boy. And then I ate a little bit and I was like, oh yeah, kind of tastes like chicken.
Yeah. It's not always good when your food can look at you,
Yeah.
Like, cut the head off. I just want to, I get that. No, I was just curious, like, was their food spicy at all? Was it anything you didn't like while you were there?
So Chris is a phenomenal chef, and she was like, you've got to try lamb's brains. And I was like, oh, lamb's brains.
What?
I was like, don't really want to. And we got them in the supermarket, and they look like 2 little brains, like they're lamb's brains, right? So they look exactly like you would think that they would look, right? And I was like, wow. Oh, gross, man. I don't want to. And she's like, no, honestly, they're amazing. They're delicious. And I was like, okay, I trust you because you make an enormous amount of very, very, very delicious food. So, let's do it. They were delicious. They were really, really good. Once she'd cut them up and like sauteed them with some onions, they were absolutely delicious. But just knowing they were brains, I was still a bit like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh, you know what I mean? But like they were really yummy. So yeah, you got to keep an open mind,
That's like eating bull's balls or something. I mean, just those weird parts of animals. What was it? What was the texture like? Was it chewy?
really buttery, soft, smooth, like a desirable texture, like, and full of flavor, like really yummy. If you'd put it, if you'd have like, was it like if you put a pane, like a breadcrumb around it, you could have been a chicken nugget. It was like really nice. It was. I think you could even serve it to kids and they would eat it, but you just don't tell them it's lamb's brains, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it looked awful in the packet, but once it had cooked, it had changed color. It didn't look a brain anymore. It was like white meat, like it could have passed for chicken.
That's crazy. Yeah, and I also think of like who came up with the idea of, hey, let's eat this lamb's brain, not out of any other part of their body. Just like, yeah, we'll cut the head open, we'll eat the lamb brain.
To be fair, like if you were to only eat the meat, there would be a lot of waste from the animal. So like if you like grind up the bones and you make sausages and all, if you're going to kill an animal, you may as well use all of it to nourish people, right? So
right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though. Well, good. I
Yummy,
guess I'm gonna have to try some lamb brain.
Yeah.
I don't think I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I think the food was one of the highlights of the trip, actually. It was really, really nice. We ate out a lot and it was pretty cheap. Like Spain is pretty cheap compared to France. And it was just delicious. Everywhere we went was great. We went to an Argentinian bar and grill where they come around with like meat on a stick and they just like, it was really cool. Yeah.
They like slice it off like
loads of different
Euro meat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Really, really nice. So yeah, overall, like I said, I've got so much to share from the footage from the video. I've got to get editing, but yeah, I've got some really cool video ideas to share. So I'm really thrilled. And I know that you said that you were pretty impressed that I got my video out while I was on holiday. Me too, man. I was like, I was just so excited to share, and I've like really recently become quite thrilled with content creation once again. I'm like. And like the comments I get, I got the most amazing, beautiful comment on one of my videos the other day. It's probably one of the nicest comments I've ever got. Just saying like, it's such an honor to share your story and you're such a inspiration, blah, blah, blah. I know that sounds a bit wanky now I'm saying it out loud, but it was really lovely. I was like, oh, that's really nice, man. That means a lot. And that sort of feedback encourages me to keep creating. And like the travel vlog, I just love a travel vlog, because it kind of shows off how to navigate the world in a wheelchair and it can inspire other people to travel. And yeah, it's great.
No, I thought the clips you got and everything, it was perfect. I mean, you got to see getting on, at the airport, and you got to just see everything, trying to get over that step. I just thought it was impressive that you, took the clips and were able to put them in a timeline that quick and bust it out and have it. It was very fluid. But I was also going to say too, since I've gotten back into making YouTube videos again, I actually enjoy the editing process now. When I first got back into it, I'm like, motherfucker, I'm gonna have to be on this thing for 8 hours. But I feel like I'm not quite at ninja level with video editing yet, but I'm getting faster and faster, and that makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Yeah. So the other thing, which I definitely think you can relate to 100%, is balancing living in the moment and getting the shot. There was this moment where Chris was going to piggyback me on the beach, and I was like, "Oh, wait! Like, let me set up the tripod because this will make a killer clip." And she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "I get it. I wish you could just piggyback me on the beach. It would be amazing, and we could just. But if we get this shot, will be so sick, and other people will love it." But it does take you out the moment. And then also when you're being filmed, even if it's just a tripod you leave at the edge of the beach, you're almost like performing. You're like not performing, but there's a certain level of like, are we in the shot? Like what, And it takes you out of the moment. So you've really got to balance being on holiday, enjoying yourself, but also travel vlogging, which is a really enjoyable thing. But you can relate to that, surely.
I know my wife can relate to it. There's been times I'm like, can you just video this right now? She's like, God damn it. We gotta, it can be frustrating, especially when you're asking somebody else to participate, and in doing the filming, it does kind of take away from whatever you're actually doing. That was my only concern when I saw that you edited that video while you were on vacation, because I'm thinking, man, I wonder if she was pissed that he was sitting there, you know, on his computer doing this, but it sounds like she was out and about anyway. So it was probably an opportune time. But yeah,
so they wanted to go shopping, and so all of her sisters speak English, which is great. So when they're around me, we speak English, which is wonderfully kind of them and thoughtful. But I was like, listen, guys, why don't you go shopping? I know that you've got plans to go to the gym as well. Like, go without me. You can speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And I've got this video to edit, and I would love like just an evening on my own. And they were like, yeah, sweet, you know. And then I was like, okay, cool. You know, like finally I get to, because I was excited to create it, you know. So yeah. There's been moments where Chris has been like, do we have to film everything? And I'm like, no, we don't. I'm picking up what you're putting down, but if we can film bits, that would mean a lot to me. And she was like, okay, sweet, no worries, we can film bits, but like not everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
So you found the balance. That's good.
Yeah, I think we did in the end. It was really nice. Once I communicated that it meant a lot to me, and I think when she saw the vlog as well, she was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I didn't realize that was going to look like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, well, this is what I'm trying to create a narrative and tell a story here. So, you know, these like clips of B-roll really like tie the story together. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So
nailed it. Cool.
Nailed it. Yeah. Right then, dude.
Well, I gotta run, brother. I gotta
no worries.
Go back to work.
Thank you so much for taking time out to do the podcast with me. And
of course.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It always feels like a recharge for me, you know, especially after a morning where I wasn't really feeling that great. And now that I've talked to you, I feel completely fine.
That's good,
so
man.
Thank you.
I also was really looking forward to the live debrief as like, we actually exchanged a fair few messages while I was away, which was really nice. So yeah, it's been fun, man. It's been great. Right. Until next time, everybody, see you guys later. And is there anything you want to say before we peace out?
Nope.
Okay then.
Other than peace out.
Peace out.
See you guys.